I absolutely love the fact that Brady's retired. Not just because the fact we don't have to play him, it's also the fact of being able to pick his mind. And that's something where I feel like a lot of different players, a lot of different great quarterbacks from the past, being able to pick their mind and really hear what they have to say on a lot of things, it's amazing to learn and see that level of football and be able to hear that level of football. So Warren Sharp posted this, and we're gonna listen to Tom Brady in a second. He was actually on what's his name, Colin Cowherd's show. But I want to go ahead and talk about this real fast. So here are the receivers with the most targets in a team's first 10 plays of the game last season. And this is kind of interesting because what you're seeing on this list as all these receivers is there's no Jamar Chase, there's no T. Higgins. Now, of course, keep in mind Joe Burrow was hurt the first 4 weeks, and then he missed the second half of the season. So there's definitely those factors that go in there. Josh Allen played the whole entire season. Same thing with Jimmy G over there. And actually, no, he did not play the whole entire season. Jimmy G, though, that's interesting. And Puka Nakua, he did play the whole season, but Stafford was kind of in and out. Tua played the whole entire season. Dak played the whole entire season. Patrick played the whole entire season. This is interesting for the fact that Garrett Wilson didn't have Rodgers after 4 plays of the first game. But again, like I said, it's those factors that really what it comes down to here is that we did have injuries, right? We didn't have our quarterback for half the season, so these numbers aren't going to be as great. But I will say this upcoming season, Brady does a really good job here of explaining why you need to get the ball to your playmaker or your best receiver early in the game. So let's go ahead and listen up to this.
And you were able in a better spot to handle this. But I have been arguing for years that number one receivers, there's a duality to it. They're great. Randy Moss is great.
Yeah.
But subconsciously, even a great quarterback will feel to some degree he's indebted to get him the ball.
Always.
And I thought when Dak Prescott broke into the league, he was better without the great Des Bryant.
Right.
The pressure left. Sometimes receivers are verbal.
Yeah.
And Stephon Diggs I would take on any team.
Yeah.
But he's verbal. Brandon Ayuk is verbal on his social.
Sure.
And I want you to go to that as I have argued. Now, Justin Jefferson to me is too good not to sign.
Sure.
But I have always had this feeling, and if you could, subconsciously when Randy was there, he rewarded you. But was there a feeling sometimes, where's Randy?
Sure.
I want to make sure Randy's happy.
Sure. Yet you always felt like you had to do something to get them the ball. And if they hadn't touched the ball in practice, I'd make sure, oh, God, hey, I got to get so-and-so ball because I want him to keep running hard. And I want him to be ready for when the ball does come. And, you see it a lot in NFL games. I've been practicing a lot of these games. I want to see the best players touch the ball early so they can break a sweat. They can get into the flow of the game. And good coaches do that. When you script plays at the beginning of the game, you're saying, okay, you're the Niners coach. I'm going to make sure McCaffrey touches it either first or second in the game. I want to make sure Deebo Samuel touches it first or second in the game. I'm going to throw it to him quick. Somehow I know the ball is going to be in his hands so he can do something with it. I want to get him into the flow. So
he's talking about the first 15 scripted plays. Every single game you go into it with a game plan, and the first 15 plays are scripted plays. So what he's speaking about is like saying, okay, well, the first play, we're going to throw the ball to the outside to Jamar Chase. We're going to do this, that, and third. I want to stop here real fast, kind of get my thoughts and opinions on what he just said. It is interesting because I feel like with him, he had Randy Moss, right? But outside of Randy Moss, Brady's never had a number 2 other than Rob Gronkowski. And that was a little bit later down the line in 2010, 2011. Back in 2007, it was Randy Moss on one side and Deion Branch on the other side. And Deion Branch wasn't a receiver that would command the amount of respect that someone like Randy Moss would command. So I wonder how you would handle the situation of having T. Higgins, who is, I'm not saying he's on the same level as Jamar Chase, but at the same time, he is a top 10 receiver. Jamar Chase is arguably the best receiver in the league. but you have that level of, well, I want to get T the ball, I want to get, Chase the ball. And then you have a Buffalo situation where they spent the whole game doubling Jamar Chase. So then T had 114 yards and a touchdown in that game. So I wonder how you kind of go about that scenario. Where it's like, again, you want to get your guy the ball, you want to get your best player the ball, but if you have too many great players, I know that's like a oxymoron, but at the same time, there is the type of scenario I feel like you got to look at. And that's interesting. I mean, I guess it makes sense, though. Like, you have that, you kind of feel like you have the obligation, because at the end of the day, as much as it's important for the quarterback to go out there and have a good game, these receivers, they pride themselves. Like, they pride themselves to be the best in the game. Jamar Chase said last year, I'm always effing open, right? I'm always effing open. 7-11. So, yeah, makes sense.
We would always try to script so that everybody would feel like they were in the flow of the game. The last thing you want is your number one receiver to go 2.5 quarters into a game and not see a ball, to get one target, because he's going to get discouraged. He's got to go out there. He's got to break the huddle. He's got to run out 25 yards to his alignment. He's got to run down the field as fast as he can, try to get open. He's got to run back to the huddle. It's a lot of effort that he's putting into not getting the ball.
And I feel like that's when you start seeing players, like, not all players, but there are some players where they start jogging their routes, and the like announcers or people will point it out like, oh, look, they're jogging the routes. What the heck are they doing? But as Tom's speaking about, I guess that's kind of what it is. Like, if you're like, hey, listen, I haven't gotten the ball all day long, and I'm still, I'm not going to go full speed every single play because I'm probably not going to get the ball. Now, I will say Chase, with his situation versus Buffalo, he still, got doubled all game long, and he still ran his route fully, and that's how good Chase is and how good of a character Chase is. I will say, going into that game, a lot of it was the fact that Chase said if he got a touchdown, he would do the Ocho Cinco touchdown. Nonetheless.
Now, when you can reward that guy early in the game and figure, okay, where is he at? How do I get him the ball? And there's certain guys that are really easy to get the ball to. Certainly the guys that line up closer to the ball, the tight ends and the slot receivers, there's way more route options for them. It's way easier to get them the ball because they can go to basically every part of the field. Whereas that perimeter receiver, he's got the sideline to deal with. He really can't break out. If he breaks out, he's got 5 or 6 yards to deal with. A receiver at the tight end position or in the slot, when he breaks out, he's got 18 yards to deal with. So you have much more space to get him actually the ball. So, it wasn't hard to get Welker the ball. It wasn't hard to get Edelman the ball. It wasn't hard to get Gronkowski the ball. It was hard to get a perimeter receiver the ball. If they decide that they want to take a perimeter receiver out of the game, you just roll the coverage to them. You play cover 2. You jam them at the line of scrimmage with someone over the top, and it's very, very difficult to get that guy the ball.
That's kind of like the whole concept with, again, I said the Bills game, I'm talking about this video, but the Bills game with Jamar Chase. And that makes sense why Tyler Boyd always got a lot of receptions, and Trenton Irwin got a lot of receptions too. And if you really look at it, when Jake Browning started last year and he started playing football for us and actually starting quarterback, a lot of his passes went right to Trenton Irwin. It was like on clockwork. He kept throwing the ball to Trenton Irwin. And I guess to Brady's point here, that's probably why. Because if your slot receiver is the easiest throws, the smartest throws, that's probably why he kept going there. But I mean, overall, again, it's going to be interesting this season to see how everything goes. Now with Joe fully healthy, everyone fully healthy, again, as long as we stay healthy this season, knock on wood, it's going to be a great season. But again, that's what I love hearing. Like, I did love seeing Tom play once he joined the Buccaneers because, he beat Patrick Mahomes. But at the same time, I love just to hear him talk and like be able to pick his brain on things, because again, he has his football knowledge, his football intellect is so freaking amazing. But I can't wait for this season, man. See you guys next one.